Hello, everyone. This is me, Jyotika Bedi, your host, psychologist, and the founder of Happiness is Love. Today, I have with me someone very, very special, Samir Soni. He's a film and television actor, director, former fashion model. What I love the most about this man is that he's a doting father and stands for spreading the message of authentic happiness and meaningful success for everyone. He's also very invested in helping modern parents so that they can be better at raising kids through his own experiences. A very, very warm welcome to you, Samir, and thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you, Jyotika. Thank you for having me. I don't know how much I have to contribute, but thanks a lot for having me.
You have a lot to say. And I really want our audience to also hear you because we just did a very fun interaction at the Dehradun Literature Fest and the audience were enthralled. They loved the way you connected with both parents, teachers, and students. So I'm very excited to do this podcast with you. And just like you, I also believe that the main responsibility of us parents is to manage our relationship with our children. Being a mother of three, I have allowed myself the experience of knowing the pressures of modern parents, what it feels like and looks like. But as a psychologist, I have few insights into what truly really matters at the end of the day. And so, Samir, my first question to you is, I would like to know what true happiness really means to Samir.
In quest of happiness. Loosely, I define happiness is when there is lack of conflict, in which whichever moment you're in, you are doing or thinking or being what you want to do or be, and that's what sort of you're aligned with the universe in that sense. Everything is just okay. Everything is fine. There is no conflict going on because you're always constantly their thoughts are going back and forth. And so this is a very abstract way of looking at happiness, but that's state of mind.
Yeah.
When you everything is okay, you're happy to be where you are. That's all right. Everything is fine.
Yes.
So that's the abstract concept of happiness to me. There's oneness. I mean, being a creative person, I think everyone understands the moment when they're in the flow or in the zone. When everything is just right, everything's just perfect.
True.
And that moment is what I seek.
Yeah. And Samir, what I love is that you really simplify these abstract concepts and you make it very digestible for your audience. And I witnessed that. So can you simplify it further? Maybe you can break it down a little more for our young audience.
Look, I'll tell you, because I read a lot. I consider myself like a student of human nature. Why are people the way they are? Why do they think the way they think? And how do they see the world? Because it's very different depending on who you are and what you are. I mean, how I see the world will be totally different from perhaps how you or somebody else sees the world. Literally.
Correct.
I mean, so there are very few absolutes. Everything seems to be in a way subjective. And from what I've read and people talk about, and these things are probably important. Things like you can say, for happiness, relationships, I guess health, getting good enough sleep, having
emotions.
all these are very generic things, which everyone seems to say the 10 ways to achieve what you want to achieve. Achievement is a big word.
Right.
But everyone seems to be striving for that. And our whole society is kind of geared towards achieving that, without really thinking, is that what you really want? So to me, the simplest way I can say is that if what you're expecting from life, if you get that, you're a happy person.
Yes, true.
But if you don't get that, then you're unhappy, right? Yeah. So the big key, which I call the missing link, is expectations. Everything else is hygiene. It's like, brushing your teeth in the morning is hygiene. Having a bath is hygiene. Likewise, sleeping well is hygiene for your mental health. But if you go to the bottom of everything and just rip away all the layers, then you realize it all boils down to what you expect from life and what life throws at you. If you expect 10 and you get 20, you're happy. If you expect 70 and even if you get 60, you're unhappy. So this is something which I feel pretty strongly about, which I'm exploring, I guess, trying to understand. That's, yeah, and I can, and then we can go into what causes the expectations, what are real, what are unreal expectations, how do the expectations come.
Exactly.
But if you want to just simplify, it is what you expect life is going to give you, and is what you get.
Well,
if they match, you're a happy person. If they don't match, you have a problem.
makes absolute sense. Very simple, very applicable. And I think this takes me to my next question, which is in your book, My Experiments with Silence. You've written a beautiful book on the diary of an introvert, where you very rightly mention how children are burdened with the expectations of their parents to succeed. No judgment on parents. I'm a parent too. How have you experienced the burden of these expectations, and how do you think we can kind of ease that burden for our children?
It's a very tricky thing because we come up, the basic premises are very, to me, are very warped in terms of people say, oh, be the best or be number one. We all know that is, that's not healthy. Right? Because you're setting benchmarks towards which a child will work hard to get. But all that child is really doing is getting your validation. So the child is not coming first or being the best because he wants to. It's because he thinks that if he's best or good, then the mom or the dad will say, hey, my lovely child.
Yeah.
So totally wrong reasons. So you're really enforcing validation for rest of the life for the child. Then people come up with another thing. So if best is not good enough, they'll say, oh, okay, best is a little flawed. Tell your child to be the best. Then be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
Which to me, again, is flawed. Because what is that? That is even more trickier. Because you don't know how good, because you can't quantify that. Right? So any focus based on a behavior, to me is sort of misplaced and can cause repercussions later on, because you don't know what is the best, because it's all relative, right? When the moment you use the word best, whether you're comparing it to yourself or you're comparing it to society, it's a relative measure.
Yes.
So one has to be really, really careful in terms of, that you have to give the support, and there is an element of guidance.
Yes.
But that is the tricky part. That be careful what you guide them, because you might be biasing them towards one way or the other.
Right.
So that's I don't know if I answered your question in terms of.
Did you also experience the burden of these expectations?
Oh, of course. To me, I think personally speaking, the thing was that ever since I was a little child, I was told I was really good. I don't know what that meant. I was like, but I could be better. Or rather, okay, let's put the other way around. The phrase I remember distinctly, even in 4th grade or 5th grade, was saying that you have incredible potential.
We say that to all our children.
Right? Sounds very nice.
Yeah.
But in one way, you're telling me that I can be something. On the other hand, you're also telling me that you're not that. Right? So inherently, what you're saying is that I need to do something. You need to get the next step and the next step, and the next step never comes. It's like saying you're always the second best, because the best is your true potential. So that's not a nice way to live. I don't think that's a great way.
I agree 100%. And then you're running this race all your life and you don't know.
Yeah, and one fine day you land up somewhere and say, well, this is not where I wanted to be, and I still don't feel what I wanted to feel.
Exactly. And what a sad feeling that would be, right? All your life you keep running for validation or seeking all these laurels and accomplishments, and then you're just like, what? Where am I? What am I doing?
Exactly. And the worst thing that can happen to you is then the regrets, which is like, yeah, I'm totally, I don't like looking back in that sense. So it's like, yeah.
So also do talk to us a little bit about your life journey, your life experiences as an introvert. Do you think it makes any real difference between being an introvert versus an extrovert in the world today?
I tend to think, and I don't have statistics to back me up, you can probably say, I strongly believe that we live in an extroverted world.
Yes.
Only he or she is noticed who does something.
Correct.
It has to be visible. It has to be audible.
Yeah.
We are just judging people with the results we see. right? And for an introvert who's actually working from within, there's nothing to really show,
Yep.
right? I mean, I can just dig deeper and be fully aware of who I am and what I am, blah, 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 and have wonderful thoughts. But you've got nothing to really, something that people can say, ah, wow. So we live in an extroverted world. And I think it's also because the society is more consumeristic.
Yes, it's coming from there. Yeah.
Buy this, look like this, do that. So you
Right.
always have to be, I mean, the most boring thing to see is a person sitting quietly reading a book, right? And so it's so ingrained in our society at such a deep level that the definition of success is whether people realize it or not, it is about more money. It's more this.
Yeah, you're right.
And an introvert probably will feel a little misfit because the inherent nature is to understand myself,
Yeah.
right? Which I don't know if there are a lot of people who are extroverted or that's just the conditioning we've been raised on. So yeah, it's a huge challenge, I think, but in the end, I guess you're wiser.
And also, extroversion is glamorized why people don't realize that it's introversion or extroversion is not a scale of confidence. It's not, or talent. And as parents, we have to raise our children's self-confidence, raise their self-esteem. This is what we need to focus on. It doesn't matter because I'm an extroverted introvert, and that's why I think I connect deeply with you. The introversion in me connects with the introversion in you, and I see that and I celebrate that. So
What tends to happen, for example, if you have, I mean, you probably would know, I mean, if you have children and stuff, if the child is quiet, then there's something wrong.
correct. And then we label that poor child, ये तो बहुत shy है, ये तो बात नहीं करता है, करती तो
You
बहुत
won't believe, my mother used to think of excuses which would kind of force me to interact with people. For example, send me to the neighbor's house to get something or give something. And I used to die. I was like, oh man, I don't have to do this. But she thought that was the right thing.
sure.
Well, quote unquote, open me up.
Yeah.
See, any kind of pretense on the outside is not going to open you up. It's the acceptance of who you are that opens you up.
Absolutely. Well said that. And the acceptance has to come from the parent first to accept the child for who he is. That is true love. That's unconditional loving.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you just said it. It's acceptance is the key. Acceptance for what the person is or who the person is, and you like them the way they are.
Yes.
That's the only thing. And anything else is just passing on your conditioning onto them and saying, oh, okay, this is good and stuff. And it's, for a lot of people, this thought is very scary because they've spent their entire life pursuing something. Now you're telling them, hey, look, what you've been pursuing might not be the be all end all.
Correct. Imagine.
I mean, there's a documentary on Arnold Schwarzenegger in which I don't know which platform, Netflix or something, in which he's now what, 70 something, and he's driving in his pickup truck or some fancy, not fancy, but a kind of toy, like he says, alone smoking a cigar. He doesn't seem like a happy man.
Really?
Yeah,
Who would think?
he's achieved just about everything you could achieve. And he laughs himself. He said, well, I guess this is what life is.
Wow.
So, yeah, but you will see that person as a role model, right? So, because again, everything is portrayed to you, showed to you,
Said to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that this guy's happy because he's living in this, whatever, the movie star or is this or that.
Right.
And really, it's really got nothing to do with being genuinely happy. I mean, I can safely say, I mean, to me, it's, yeah, I mean, it can go to abstract. It's okay.
No, please. We want to hear this.
I mean, no, let's go to the next question. I'm kind of
Okay, fair.
spinning in my mind.
Okay, fair. So, what does true success really look like to you? What does it feel like? What does it look like to Samir?
True success would be I don't really measure life in terms of success because it is so relative. What is success?
It is.
From someone's perspective, I could be really successful. From another perspective, I could be an utter failure. So
correct. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like a word that I think is distorted so badly
Yeah.
that it has no meaning for me. Right? It's just, okay, fine. To
True.
me, the biggest thing is happiness. It's being at peace with yourself, and whatever makes you happy. If
What
indeed having a fancy car is going to make you happy, fantastic, go for it.
nothing wrong with that? Yes.
Nothing else. But as long as you know that's what makes you happy, that's the key, is to find out what is that individual thing. And then it's okay. Success is like, really, and let's put it this way. I don't know who said this. Success at best is an anesthesia to pain.
To pain. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's at that moment when you think you're successful, you can get rid of any other issues that you might have.
Right. Right.
You can bask in that thing, oh, I'm successful, but hey, the 100 million thing that you need to work on or you're not happy about. So at a best thing, it's that. To me, I have very low, I respect people who quote unquote are successful.
Mm-hmm.
I respect them because if they had a dream and they followed their dream and they worked hard and achieved it, fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fill me with awe. It is not. Okay. I mean, I hope I hope you're happy by the end of this whole thing. So it is, to me, and I think it's a very dangerous thing also, because the many generations have been lost in pursuing this quote unquote success.
Correct.
And those are wasted lives. Those are really wasted lives. And that's why I'm kind of vocal nowadays, because I feel that now with the social media and everything becoming more and more powerful. So yes, success is, it's just a word that we coined for people who that have and the have-nots, and that's basically it. Otherwise, if you're happy and at peace with yourself,
Bottom line.
I mean, like, I always say, like, a lot of in terms of, because I'm in the entertainment business and stuff, and a lot of people say, oh, people know you and stuff. To me, the question is that if I'm unhappy, for example, does it really make a damn difference if 1 million people know me or they don't? And if I'm happy, does it really matter? Nobody knows me.
Well said.
In the end, it is how everything, the external thing, is interpreted in your own mind.
True that.
So in the end, how whatever information you're getting is kind of accepted, absorbed, digested, because everything is a signal to you.
Yeah.
10 people saying you're great is a signal to you. One person saying you're not good is a signal to you. So-and-so having something which you don't have is a signal to you. How do you interpret that signal? Which comes to a childhood.
Yeah.
That is the conditioning that we've got up with, because they say this is good. And there might not be any empirical reason to believe that there is something good about being good also.
Yeah. Well said. And I loved at the Dehradun Literature Fest how you were telling our young audience that we all look upon our celebrities, we think they are happy because they are successful, and how that's not true.
To me, this is one example which I don't know, it just occurred to me when I don't know, since childhood, oddly enough, I've always read a lot of autobiographies, and they've been singers and actors and stuff. I have always been interested in the creative people or sportsmen. I don't know, I relate to them. But then one day it struck to me that one of the biggest heroes or legends we have, someone like a Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody knows him and and you still remember, still down the history, he'll be remembered, But and whenever I have a talk or whatever, and I ask people, would any one of you want to exchange lives with him? No one raises their hand. So surely something is missing.
Correct.
I mean, there is a price element that is paid. So, but we don't portray that. We don't portray what trauma they might be going through. So, isn't it ironical? The people we look up to and we admire.
Imagine.
And we wouldn't want to trade places with them. I mean, then how is that in any way desirable?
Absolutely.
If it was that desirable, then I should want to be that.
Wow.
But we don't. I'm looking for examples. I mean, we talk about top millionaires, top billionaires, top successful people. I want to have a list of top happiest people in the world.
Good, very good thought. Exactly.
Who are these guys? What are they doing? Yeah, what are they doing? And they might be like, guy who has a small shop around the corner who makes enough money to feed his family and has a happy life. I want to read about them.
Yeah, and their life journey and their experiences and what makes them happy. Amazing. Yeah.
But we don't have a list of that because we can't quantify that. We can ghuma fira ke, even if you want to talk about happiness, then success comes in. And now it gets very appalling to me also is because these so-called steps towards success. The concept itself is flawed.
Yeah.
Now you're giving them steps to reach the flawed thing and not examining what are they pursuing.
It's such an illusion.
It is what we, this is the world we live in, and it is what it is, and what are you going to do? So I speak for a lot of people who are maybe a little disillusioned or don't see themselves fitting in. Yeah. I like to be their voice. I mean, like my book was dedicated to all the misfits.
Yeah.
Who would not always say, oh, wow, look at, he's done so and so. And you're like, so? I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, really. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have problems.
Oh, you don't. You're on the right path, and we need your voice because it really matters, and you'll help so many just by sharing. So what would you tell your daughter if she came up to you and said, Dad, tell me in a simplistic fashion, what is success? What would you say to your little one?
I don't know. I don't use that word with her.
Oh, nice.
I've never used that word with her. To me, I just, if I've given her because I've given it a great thought, if any lessons, quote unquote, I have imparted or tried, I think twofold pretty much, or maybe three maximum. One is find out what makes you happy. There is no greater virtue than happiness. I don't care. First, find out. You want to be an astronaut? Go be that. Whatever gives you joy and happiness. That's number one. Number two, when you're living in a society, there has to be some ways of conducting yourself, whatever. Is you treat other people as you would like to be treated. I mean, that's like as basic. When you're confused, should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, simply put yourself in that shoes. And well, if that person did that to you, would you be happy? Would you like it? Yeah. So this is as simplistic as it gets. And third is accept something greater than you. I'm not going to argue. I don't argue with her whether God exists or not exists.
Okay.
But I do say that accepting that there is something greater than you keeps you humble.
Yeah.
So just accept that part. I mean, I can't prove to you whether God does or doesn't exist. Oh. There is obviously some force which is slightly greater than us. And thinking like that helps you. Again, I could be totally wrong because a lot of atheists will say, nonsense. But that's okay. To me, that's not that big an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of conduct, behave like you want people to behave with you. One. Right. Number two is what gives you joy, what gives you happiness, and that's it. The numbers don't matter, the success doesn't matter, and that's it. Let the thing what you do in itself be the reward, as opposed to it leads to something which.
Exactly.
So yeah, like when I act, I'm happy. I'm a happy man because that's what I enjoy doing. Now, whether that's seen by everyone or not seen by anyone, that's just a little social thing that I have to learn to accept and detach and whatever. But the true joy is that. So yeah, and just figure out what makes you happy, what is joyful, and for all the parents, for Christ's sake, stop putting your fears down onto your children. I know you have fears. Oh, what if he doesn't get a good job, or what if she doesn't get a good job? Please. I mean, the perfect example you can give is that this is how I see is that your child is like a sapling, right? Like a little thing. It's going to take its own shape.
Correct.
If it's a mango seed, it's going to be a mango tree or whatever. It will do what it will do.
Right.
All you can do is provide some kind of support. That in case it falls, you can just give it a support.
Right.
But don't push them in a direction.
Right.
Right? So do what you want to. So I say that. Do what you want to do. If you fall, I'll catch. Don't worry about that.
That's how. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an experiment. My daughter's still 10, so maybe he's gonna bite me in the backside when I grow up. When she grows up.
You're on the right path, right track, because we're in the business of parenting, and this is exactly what parenting is about. It's about support. It's about encouraging them and letting them know it's okay to fall, it's okay to fail, it's okay to make mistakes. You just learn, and I'm here for you. That's it.
I feel personally, there is no greater gift a parent can give to a child other than acceptance.
That's it.
I love you, like you,
Yes.
just the way you are, or who
Yes.
you are. You can think that this was going to make that person happy, and that person might actually achieve all the things, but you don't know what you've taken away.
You're so right, Samir. And I work with so many young adults and teenagers, and this is their only ask, where they just want their parents to unconditionally accept them, especially the creative ones.
Yeah, I mean, the more sensitive you are, the more it's going to affect you. I mean, that's also an individual thing. That's where introversion comes in, because
Yes.
you tend to be a little more sensitive to energies, people saying things.
Yeah.
So that can,
Part, yes.
yeah, you can take to heart more than say another person would. But yes, it is what it is.
Especially when, even in this day and age, when parents come to us and tell us that, she has a lot of potential in singing, she's done her own production, she's got great stage presence, she's written her own song, but I want her to be a lawyer. Breaks my soul.
No, that besides that, it's this whole thing of potential. I mean, I question this. I really do question it, and maybe that's the stage I'm in my life. I mean, does it really matter if you're first in class or 10th in class or 5th in class? Does it matter?
We carry our badges around to show that this is what I got in grade 10 and 12. Who cares?
So, what is this thing of reaching your potential? What is it? I mean, no one delves into that.
Yeah,
I still don't know. Would I be happier if maybe I have incredible potential to be even a better actor, even more successful, but would I be necessarily happier? I don't know. So it is, I think this is the whole society, the way it kind of tries to kind of straight jacket everyone and saying, okay, this is good. Yeah, like, if you reach your true potential, you'll be in front and people will say, how great is that?
True that.
I mean, I think it's not easy, let's put it this way. Even for parents, because they themselves have been conditioned to think a particular way.
Yeah.
And to value certain things.
Yeah.
And to suddenly one day tell them, look, what you're valuing need not necessarily be that valuable. Not saying it's not. But let's just question your premise that, okay, like I have, niece's best college. She'll say, oh, I want the best college and the best company and And to me that isn't really that relevant. What I would really want to know, is she happy? Is she happy? Is she enjoying life? So
does she wake up feeling good about herself?
Correct. Without having to say, oh, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. Okay. I mean, yes, it's.
And that's why, Samir, we are cycle breakers. No judgment on parents, but it takes one parent, one day at a time, one parent at a time to at least break these cycles, these unhealthy, unhelpful patterns that we've just been handed over. So yeah, it takes courage for us to break free, but yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it together.
Yeah, because it's even say that we are. I mean, obviously the nature part, the genetic code that passed on is there.
Yeah.
But the rest is just conditioning. The rest is totally your value system is conditioning. There is no absolute. It's what you have imbibed by the first relationship you've ever had, that was with your parents.
Yeah.
So the parents don't realize the amount of responsibility you're carrying, and it's not about responsibility making ends meet only.
Right, absolutely.
It is giving that person something that person really needs, and I don't know. It's a tough job. Being a parent. I mean, like I tell my daughter sometimes that I don't even know if I'm even close to. And I was asking myself, what is my dream? What is my purpose? What is my dream?
Dream, okay.
What do I want to achieve? When I was a kid, I wanted to be the best actor or win an Oscar, And one day I said, look, there's one thing I have no conflict over. Because I can question the value of being the best at anything, because that's still relative, right? And I said, I want to be the best dad that I can be. I mean, that would give me tremendous satisfaction that I was a good father. So I think if your parents would honestly think like that when you're not there anymore, the child is going to wish that you were, in terms of, that was great.
That's legacy. That's really leaving it.
I mean, just that's so beautiful. I mean, because I'm so out of with my daughter, I'm like the steady bear, because I know what it feels like when you're reprimanded for something you didn't really mean it. Which again comes to, you gotta have patience,
Yes.
You got to make time.
Yes.
Stop judging them.
Yes.
It's not an easy thing. You're raising a human being who's gonna live by next 50, 70 years, depending on what you taught in the 6 years that you taught them.
Correct.
Then don't look back and say, oh, hey, this is not good.
Yeah.
Or this is not right. You can't do that. So, so parents, please be careful. I think you have a very valuable thing in your hand, and you have no right to have a child if you're not going to make that a priority.
I agree with you. It's disservice to everyone. Please have children only if you want to, and you can take care of them.
And happier people make a happier world.
Yes.
So if you raise a happy child, that child is going to make a happier world, a better world.
Well said. And let's raise ourselves first as parents before we raise our children. And that takes me to a very important question, which is one lesson that you would like to share with children, with young adults from your own struggles and your learnings, so that they can be more positive, they can be mentally and emotionally healthier.
I think the biggest takeaway that I have learned as well, and this is obviously talking to the children and the youngsters, is that you are unique.
Yeah.
There is nobody else in this whole universe who is like you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Figure out who that is.
Ah.
Don't try to be somebody else.
Yes.
Because the greatest gift that you have is that you are so unique by yourself. Discover that uniqueness, that quality that you have, that you've been gifted with, which may or may not translate into something materialistic, but there is something unique about you that makes you you. It's a very funny thing. We grow up trying to be part of something big, part of being the cool group, the happening guys, the happening girls, desirable. And once you reach that level, then you want to be unique and stand out separate.
True.
You say, oh, no, I'm different. I'm not like them. They're like that.
Yeah.
So you sacrifice your uniqueness by being one of the many. And once you become one of the many, then you fight to be unique.
So well said.
So yeah, just look into yourself and find out that unique quality. There is no rights, wrongs. You are who you are, and there is something special about you. There is. There's not a thing in this world can deny that there is a special thing about you, and you can make a difference in the world. Just don't follow anybody else and saying, oh, you should be something else. No. You have to be you first and discover that. And
You do you.
yeah, so that's life.
Awesome. And for parents also, so important to just tap into that uniqueness, because every child is a genius. There is a special gift in everyone.
Yeah, I mean, for parents, I would say, look, I understand you're also a function of your own conditioning, right? And I understand that, and I'm compassionate about that. So, it is. Some people have strict parents, some people have this kind of thing, some people have, blah, 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 blah. They give you the value system. I understand that. But be aware of your own conditioning when you're dealing with a child, because now you have an added responsibility.
Correct.
So when you have a child, you have to examine your own value system as well. I think stop thinking that, oh, this is the way it should be.
Right.
So just be aware of it, because we all do this very subconsciously.
Correct.
For example, I mean, I'll give you a very silly example. For example, my daughter, she when she was say 3rd grade or 4th grade, she couldn't spell certain words, and I was like, or her handwriting wasn't good. I'm like, come on, man! When I was in school, our mental math and our spellings and that, I'm right. But then I realized the newer generation, they're not going to need it.
Exactly.
I mean, I have a scary message to all parents who are watching this. Is the world as you knew is dead.
Correct. It doesn't exist anymore. True that.
It doesn't exist. The thing that you valued when you were young doesn't hold true anymore.
Yes.
It's a new generation. It's a new time with new forces. And you have to learn to accept that and find out how your child is doing in that, in terms of the influences and stuff like that. So please, parents, I mean, question yourself, accept.
Parents have to change, like you beautifully said. Times have changed. We have to change with the changing time. Our mindset has to change. Bottom line.
Let's put it this way. I mean, what we were, say, at 15, the children are there by 9 or 8, and that doesn't make it right, wrong, or bad. It is what it is.
Yeah.
In fact, more so, you have to be careful that they don't get influenced by other influences, because now it's even more trickier. Being a parent in this generation,
Yes.
far more difficult than it was earlier, because the influences weren't that much.
Right. And Samir, to your point, psychology is saying it, science is saying it, that parents have the greatest influence on the children. While we are so quick to blame society or quick to blame the school systems, no, it's you. You have the greatest impact on your child.
Absolutely. It's the first and foremost. I mean, then the rest will come later.
Correct.
But yeah, parents is, I mean, it structures the way a person feels and thinks and sees the world. I think it wouldn't be wrong to say is that, as we go along in life, we kind of wear different glasses.
Yeah.
Depending on the experiences you have.
Yeah.
And then, and then by the end, after a long time, you have wearing so many dozens of glasses that whatever you're seeing is not even remotely close to what it is.
Yeah.
So the first pair of glasses a child wears is what the parents give.
Yeah.
That is the first experience they have, the first thing that skews them one way or the other. So be careful. So.
And that takes me to my last question, that any message for the parents? Because again, parenting is really about the parents. That's why we say parenting, not childing. So last words regarding parenting, please.
Oh God, parenting. Well, firstly, realize the responsibility you have.
Yeah.
Because how your child is going to see the world is depending on you.
Yeah.
Let's even take a step further. The basic thing. Let's figure out what is the most important thing. You have a newborn child in your hands, in your lap. What is the first and the most important thing? To me, the most important thing is this life form that you have. You give whatever you can to ensure that she or I keep saying she because I have a daughter.
Sure.
She or he is a happy child, has a happy life.
Is that your daughter who peeked from the back?
Did she? Yes, that was Ahana.
Say hello.
Okay, she's like, Anna, I'm gonna come say hi.
Hi.
She's come back.
She's wondering what Papa's up to. Hi, how are you? We were just talking about you. Your dad's been praising you.
She's very shy. She's
So cute.
so.
She needs your time and attention. We'll wrap up in 5 minutes.
No. She's wondering what I'm up to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for parents, look, your children have to be the number one responsibility. Please do not focus on success as much. I understand the importance of the world we live in, but not at the cost of that person, that individual having his own individuality and discovering who he or she is and happiness.
Right.
Then you can, but don't swap one for the other. That is the worst thing to do.
Yes.
Don't train them to be successful, because then you'll just have a bunch of, I don't know, unfulfilled robots running after something, and then you can brag to your friends saying, my son went to MIT. Doesn't matter.
They all land up in therapy with us, so we can tell you.
Eventually, it's I mean, it's such a. I mean, you probably can guide better. I don't understand where we know for a fact that being extremely popular or extremely famous or extremely rich or the big dog, we have enough examples that show that doesn't necessarily make you happy, yet we all follow that path.
Yes.
I don't understand it. I mean, when you have examples.
Yeah. And that's why I said it takes one soul at a time, one parent at a time, because it's deep. It's layers and layers and layers of social conditioning, parent conditioning. So it's got.
And school. I mean, in school.
Yeah. Schools are putting rounds of it.
School, they don't teach you. In school, they teach you how to be, say, come first or be best, but they don't teach you. So you ask anyone what is success, they'll give you a million answers.
Yeah.
Success is family, this, da. Ask them, what is happiness? Because the basic assumption is if you're successful, how it's defined, you're automatically happy.
Yeah. कोई correlation नहीं है.
I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for someone, and I keep reading, and someone's going to guide me and tell me, oh, this is the correlation. No, there is no correlation. So it's like, it's just two different things you're going for. You want all the material pleasures and comforts, you will get that. But if you want that is going to lead to making you happy, that's a different thing. So, but I think probably now the time is right. I think the earlier generation was trying to make ends meet. Now as more our ends are being met and we are feeling a little more comfortable, we are exploring the finer things of life. Just like, it's like, I mean, a poor man who's making his ends meet, his son can't say, "Oh, Dad, I'm feeling sad" or something. He's more concerned, get to school, get a job.
Yes.
So I understand those people who are, hand to mouth.
Yeah.
But as a society, I think we are far more comfortable.
You're right. And that's why it takes voices like you are a celebrity, and for you to kind of say this, it's very important for parents to hear this. And that takes me to a quick rapid fire, just five
Sure.
questions for you. Top two myths about an introvert.
Top two myths of introverts is introverts don't like talking to people or being with people or socializing. That's not true at all.
It's not
It's just
true at
that,
all.
yeah, so it's just that they need that me time a lot more than an average Joe does. And it does tax them, but that doesn't mean they don't like it. They do like it. But it's so give them give the introvert the comfort zone, and he's going to talk the most in the group.
You're so right. It's about connect with somebody. I mean, like I can talk to you, Samir, for hours and I don't get depleted. But with some people, when I talk, my energy just goes whoop. And then I need me time for like one whole day, literally.
Yeah, because I know it's the energies that have to match. You're on the same plane because
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
it's just a fast. This whole field of energy is something totally,
It is.
You correctly said. Some people will, after having a conversation with them, you will feel enhanced.
Or
And
some
some people, even though you'll have a fantastic evening, you'll come home and say. So introverts are more susceptible to energies if they want to more precision. So myth, they like talking, they don't mind, they enjoy it, but give them time, give them a little safe place to do it. That's one myth. And second myth about introverts, oh God, is there? I think that's probably the biggest. That's the sheer definition of what introversion really means. Is that, and also on the contrary, on the other side, I would just say that another myth is that extrovert people don't need silence.
Yeah.
That's the biggest myth. I mean, as someone who would say, "Oh, if you call someone an extrovert," you said, "No, but I like my time, quiet time." Of course,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily make you an introvert either. It is
Exactly.
just that you probably would feel far more enhanced being in a social environment.
Correct. Correct.
So the two myths is that the introvert always wants to be quiet, doesn't want to talk, and extrovert doesn't need silence and always wants to talk. No, an extrovert will need that quiet time as well, and then introvert would also want to be with humans.
Thank you for busting these myths. Your favorite book that keeps you going? Is there a book that you reach out to?
The book I love most probably would be The Alchemist,
Ah,
because it's so profound in so many different ways.
right, right.
It is, and I loved the book that actually also I was reading a lot and I've read several times is Deepak Chopra's Seven Spiritual Secrets of Success. I quite enjoy that book. It's kind of very well written and it's concise, and there are a lot of meaningful, yeah. And then Paulo Coelho and Chopra, probably two of my authors.
There must be so many in your mind, hard to choose one.
I know. I was just trying to like which one.
Yeah, fair.
No, but you know, I like any book that I don't like fiction. Let's put this clear. Alchemist is the only one I would say is fiction, and another one, but I don't like fiction personally because that fantasy world doesn't. I want a book that'll engage me. I like a book which I'll read two sentences and then go, okay, that's an interesting thought. So I love those kind of books that make you, think. Yeah.
Which is the book you're currently reading?
Currently, I'm reading. This is actually reading again. It's Marlon Brando's autobiography.
Okay.
His is probably one book I really like. It's called the Letters That My Mother Wrote to Me.
Yes.
It's one of the most beautiful. I've read it before. It's that, and then before that I read I think Matthew Perry's book.
You did?
Yeah, it was very disturbing, and I'm not surprised what happened. It was I saw it coming. So it's very disturbing, and that's another fine example for what we're discussing.
That's another glowing example of what we're talking about. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a product of a broken marriage, and torn between these two extremes and stuff, and whatever. So. Yeah, I mean, I like. I mean, more than reading, for me the fun is to write.
Yeah.
And just to kind of think and like, okay, what about this? It's just like conversations that you have Books don't do it that much for me because I always feel that, especially if they're uh, most of the books, if we don't take fiction, for example, it is something you can say in 2 pages, really,
Yeah.
which goes on for 200, which I don't have the patience for. It's like, okay, I get the point. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that because there was only certain chapters, like in, for example, the first thing that Deepak Chopra's books, the 7 Spiritual Secrets of Success, that stayed with me was the opening page in which he quotes one of the Vedas.
Ah.
So now that, which he says that you are what your deepest driving desire is. As is your desire, so is your thought. As is your thought, so is your deed. As is your deed, so is your destiny.
Right. Right.
So these little nuggets that you kind of get, and you say, oh, okay, this is interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think in the end, it's all about reaching that zone of clarity,
Yeah.
in which there is, I mean, the way I see it is that if you're as an individual, there is sort of a matrix of impressions and everything else in which you can lose yourself and you are more reactive and you need something to pierce that to reach to your core. It could be a book, it could be song, it could be music, it could be spending time with someone. It has to pierce through that, and there's a moment of clarity in which you know who you are, what you need to do. I think, and everyone will find their own way of doing it and find a different. Yeah, so to me, music is also one thing, and then these little nuggets that kind of like, okay, that's interesting.
Lovely. Your life mantra.
No, it is that is simple. I mean, honestly, life is very simple. It's not complicated.
It's complicated.
Yeah, correct. I mean, in terms of life, it's simple. You have X. If you see, take a back seat. You have X number of years in your life.
Yeah.
You're born with certain resources,
Yeah.
which is depending on which family, where, which country, what, and you have this much time.
Yeah.
What you choose to do, that depends on you.
That's on you.
So don't have to complicate it. There are a lot of people say, what is my purpose in life and what is this life? It's your life. And it's ticking away. And the worst thing is that the thing that you have no control over is the thing you don't know how much of it you have, and that's time.
Exactly.
You don't know how much time you have.
None of us know, correct?
No, none of us know that. And that's the one that's ticking away. That's the biggest currency.
Yeah.
So what you want to do with it, it's your decision, it's your call. So to me, it's always, okay, look, I have this urge that I'm running out of time. I'm valuing time a lot more than I did before. So to me, it's simple. It's just, you got to be in touch with yourself. Yeah. I wish I could give some pearls of wisdom to people. I have none. But
Get enough. And what I like is that, again, it's very authentic. What you share is coming straight from the heart. This is who you
yeah,
are.
I mean, I'm not,
This is who you
I don't claim to know everything or anything. I know what I've lived, and I've my own little thing. I wish I could tell people, but if at all I can tell, I think from my experience is that you have your own unique path, you have your own unique resources, you have your own unique challenges. I'm a strong believer in being true to yourself. That is one thing that I can say unanimously works with everyone. Whatever.
That is true success. That when you look yourself in the mirror, you know that you're being true to yourself. I mean, that is what success looks like to me, at least.
Yeah, like I get very disturbed with that word. So because there are a lot of connotations that come with success.
Yeah.
Once the success, then the visual becomes totally different.
Yeah.
There's a halo around your head.
That's
So
true.
that's the only thing. There's no mantra that, it is what it is.
We want to give for young men so that they can keep their mental health intact, because we keep talking about women's mental health, but you know what? We have to be inclusive, and men suffer equally. So any tip for men?
Very fast. I mean, I have time. I don't know what, whatever. Mental health, look, first thing you have to understand that the thing you process all the information around you or within you is through your brain.
Yeah.
Every information that you get, the brain is the one that's processing everything.
Correct.
The more overload you put on your brain, the more stressful your life is going to be.
True.
And less efficient it's going to be, because it's dealing with too many variables.
Yeah.
All right. So be mindful of that.
Yeah.
That there is a lot of things that's happening around you.
Yeah.
And just take a it's there is the world and there is you. Just understand that, and you have to react or interact only that much. Don't lose yourself in the process, and just keep it simple. Just really keep it simple. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't know what to do. Everyone knows what to do. It's just that it's too hard.
Yeah. And we want to avoid the hard stuff, the difficult stuff.
Correct. And you will avoid it by creating another puzzle in your mind and saying, oh, let me figure this thing out.
Then I'll get to this. And then you're just creating so many. Yeah.
So, it's for mental health. It's like, I mean, if you guys find yourself reaching out to some drugs or alcohol or anything, you're better off reaching out to a professional.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
If you have a trained person who will be objective about your issues. Your friends will not have the time, will not understand, or will say what you need to hear.
Correct.
Your parents are too close to you.
Correct.
You will hold something back. A professional is not going to judge you.
Exactly.
So, and just having a drink every once in a while is not the answer.
Yeah.
If you have to do that, then you might take medication if you need to.
Yeah.
So I'm a very firm believer on professional health, that if there is something that's bothering you, go talk to a professional. And if nothing else, you'll feel more relieved and have clarity.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you for sharing that, because this is what we do at Happiness is Love. We're a support group for everyone so that people feel heard, people feel seen, and they feel supported. Because it's
I respect that. I really, what you people do is very, very commendable. And I think you're saving a lot of lives than you probably realize. You're saving a lot of lives, I think.
Thank you. Now you're a part of our tribe.
Huh?
You are a part of our tribe now.
I don't know if I've qualified as yet or not.
You are.
I'm the cheerleader.
Yeah, this brings us to the end. And if there's one big gift we can give our children, like Samir beautifully said, is to just accept our children, to love our children for who they are, and believe in them. Because behind every young child, there is always a parent who believed first. So let's just believe in our children, whatever is their path.
Yeah, they just, if you're not sure how you should deal with your child, just imagine if you were the child, how would you want your mommy, papa to treat you? For example, you broke a vase and that's very expensive. You didn't really mean to break it, but that was expensive. Would you want your mother or your father to scold you more? Or would you would want that person to say, it's okay. Accidents happen. So just put yourself in their shoes and you'll be good. You'll be fine.
Samir, thank you for being such a believer, for being such a supporter, and really, I love you for who you stand for. And really, we need your flame. We need people like you. Your time, like you said, time is currency. Thank you for making time for us. It really means a lot.
And thank you for what you're doing, and really my heartfelt wishes to you. And going forward, if there's any way I can be of any assistance, I'm always there. And thank you. Really, what you're doing is amazing. I mean, we need more people like you around as well.
And thank you too. Lots of my love. God bless. Thank you, Samir. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Connected. Thank you.